Have you heard the news? From the iconic annual get-together known as the San Diego Comic-Con, we've recently been introduced to some groundbreaking news, especially when it comes to the MCU. So get ready for a discussion of sorts as we review and maybe crack a few jokes here and there on the biggest convention of the year. So sit back, relax, and indulge yourself to a Comic Talkers production because you are listening to Just Four Flicks. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Patty B. With me on this glorious Sunday edition of J4F is Mr. B Dog, Mr. Brandon. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
You know, this is a big weekend not only for movies but comics, everything, and so I'm excited. This was a pretty big. That whole weekend with the MCU was a pretty big weekend. You had Deadpool and Wolverine come out.
Yep.
And
Big movie.
Yeah.
Big
But
movie.
let's talk about that for a second because the conversation that we're going to be discussing today is with Deadpool and Wolverine. And with all the news we got about the MCU from San Diego Comic-Con this year at the panel on Hall H, is this going to be enough to save the MCU? Because the last few years, we have not been given a lot of good stuff. We've been given some stuff. We've been given Loki. We've been given WandaVision. Moon Knight's another great one. But there are misses as well, including the movies. The movies have been doing. And let's talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. I know you said you watched it recently. I watched it opening weekend. What was your take on it? What did you love? What did you not like? Because I'm going to tell you, fans, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. I love the fucking cameos in that film.
I think that's one of the best. I think that's one of the best parts of the movie. I also like the soundtrack of the film. I think it was great. I love the. It's like a little prayer. I wanna take you there. It's so good. I don't think there's anything I honestly disliked about this movie. I just can't say enough good things about how well Hugh Jackman played a role in this film, like especially coming back as his iconic role as Wolverine.
Yeah.
I just think that, man, like it really made this movie pop off, and I think this film, in my opinion, is if not one of the best MCU movies we've seen of all time, and it's also one of the better MCU movies we've seen since 2018.
Yeah.
So,
well, you had that in-game discussion in there too, because that's 2000.
that's what I'm saying. Since 2018, I mean,
2019 was
was it 19? Oh, okay, my bad.
18 was Infinity War. 19.
Got it. Well, I mean, for that matter.
Yeah. But so Deadpool and Wolverine, because people know I like the second one more than I like the first. And it's because one of my favorite characters in comics is Cable. And the second one made me happy. I was pissed that Cable wasn't in Deadpool and Wolverine. That pissed me off a little bit because that could have been a funny cameo to have. Because we know Josh Brolin plays Thanos. And he plays Cable.
Mm-hmm.
Funny to watch. I don't know why. Chris Evans. Man, did he not make me laugh. That dude.
I think he made a lot of people
they made him believe that
misled a lot of people.
But yeah, people thought it was Cap, and it wasn't.
I love when Deadpool's like, say it. I can't wait till he says it. He's gonna say it, Avengers Assemble.
He's like, Avengers? No, that's not what it is. Just see him take off. I love the cameos. I love the withdrawals. Here's my problem with it, though. And I told Ty about my buddy Ty, who's on the Con Talker or Anime Talker podcast with us, because me and him watched it together. And I kind of just told him, like, it was good. I just wish they would have maybe waited a little bit. I know this is like a revitalizing moment.
Yeah.
But we are getting Secret Wars. And we know that now. Secret Wars, if anybody does not know, it's pretty much in the comics, it's the Beyonder bringing all these heroes and pretty much heroes and villains and making them go at it with each other. Um, Secret Wars 2 was pretty much Doctor Doom, which I think that's the one they're setting up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Piecing these worlds from different universes together to make one world. And I feel like The Void could have been a perfect example of it. I heard remarks. You want me to tell you one of the funniest things I heard in this movie? Okay, so the big cloud that we see in the movie that eats people and stuff, we've seen him in Loki. We've seen this in Loki. People actually thought that was Galactus
Oh,
from
really?
the Rise of Silver Surfer. When I saw that, I started laughing so hard. I was like, yeah, I can see why you thought that. Like, Ty looks at him and he goes, nah, I'm glad they didn't reference that. I was like, we referenced the Fantastic Four. How can you not reference that movie?
Right.
And Daywalker, Blade. I love that joke. I'm the one and only Blade. And then Deadpool just looking at the screen, like, really? Or what was it? My favorite part of that movie was when he goes up to the screen, he goes, suck it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland, and then breaks the camera. I'm Marvel, Jesus.
One of my favorite lines to Hugh Jackman was till you're 90.
Yeah, till you're 90. But the main thing I was happy about is that I think I told you before I went into this was I was afraid of what they were going to do with Logan.
Yeah.
And Logan is such a hardcore film, and it was like a swan song for Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And so when they said it and I saw what he was doing, I was like, please don't mess up this timeline. Like, I not a fan of that they do. And they did it. They didn't screw it up. It was an alternate version of him. The other thing I loved was Channing Tatum. I actually was happy they did it and gave fans what they wanted, because this is something fans have been screaming. Because mind you, I know you didn't like, oh,
No, I love it. I'm about to make a name for myself.
we should have put that as your monologue, have that, I'm gonna make my name for myself.
You make sure you tell people what happened here today.
I loved him because people. So do you know the whole story with that? Let me ask
I
you that.
don't. No, I do not.
So it was slated he was going to play Gambit. I believe it was like 2007, before Disney bought Fox. There he was slated to play Gambit, and he's been a big proponent for it. He wanted to play Gambit. And when Disney bought it, the only movie they allowed out, I think Dark Phoenix came out, and then they only allowed the New Mutants because they already filmed it.
Got it.
Gambit was not filmed. And Channing Tatum was supposed to be in the first Wolverine film. And then scheduling conflicts got in the way. I believe it was G.I. Joe. That the scheduling conflicts got in the way and he couldn't play. And that's when they got what's his face from Battleship. The main actor, I can't remember his name. He's in John Carter.
Okay.
Yeah. He got him to play Gambit. And I wasn't a fan of that. But Deadpool and Wolverine was one I remember walking in theaters going, this is what's really going to either save the MCU or it's going to kill the MCU.
MCU, yeah.
I didn't have a fear that I was not going to like the movie. It was more that, are they going to just say, we're going to reboot it and do all that? But then when you get the news from San Diego Comic-Con, it's like, it's not really rebooting. It's going to continue. It's going to continue the storyline. I enjoy this film. I love that they're setting up Laura Keeney to play or Daphne Keene, but she just signed a contract with Disney because she was just in The Acolyte. And so I'm happy for that. I'm excited because that to me will make me feel more where you can enjoy it more with her. And I think it'd be great. Deadpool and Wolverine made me laugh so hard in theaters. It was unreal. That movie got me good from beginning to end. I think it's the most I've laughed in a Deadpool movie. So it gets you good. Things that I'm excited for now. I get tired. I agree with people. I get tired of the TVA. Nobody likes them. Get rid of them. You don't need that now because King's really not going to be your main person now. which is sad because King really could have been a big villain to him.
Yeah.
But now I just feel like now they're like, oh well, we can't recast him, which I call BS on that. You can recast him because it was Jonathan Majors, and with the whole situation that he's going through, they fired him. There's one actor I always felt like he could replace him and he could do 10 times better. An actor I thought I'd never do because of his role in Star Wars, but I do like him in this role. John Boyega.
Yeah. Yeah. John Boyega's great.
I think he'd be great for King. I thought if you're not going to have Jonathan Majors, you need to have John Boyega. And when they announced they were going to go away from it, I was like, really? Like, you just set King to be a big villain. And now you're changing it all up.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was it? Deadpool and Wolverine, mind you, it broke records this opening weekend alone. I believe it's one of the highest. Now it's up there on one of the highest grossing opening weekends ever. I think this movie's on its way to making at least $1 billion, if not $2 at the box office. It's going to get up there.
Yeah. No, I mean that movie is I especially with like the lead up to it, I think they promoted this movie fantastically. Like, dude, they had so much promotion for this movie. So
did you know Matthew McConaughey was in this film?
he's the cowboy Deadpool, right?
He's the cowboy Deadpool. And
so is Blake Lively.
Blake Lively's Lady Deadpool. Do you know both his kids are in the film?
No, I didn't.
The teenager one that talks back to him.
Oh, really?
That's his daughter. And the baby. Was their 1-year-old. And Nathan Fillion's the head.
I really enjoyed the Nice Pool character.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
And him.
That shit was so funny with the dog.
Yeah. Regenerate? It's like, oh no. My favorite part was the dog when Wolverine puts the dog up and goes, "Stop shooting!" Oh, what a cute puppy. And then he just walks across the street holding the dog. That made me laugh for some reason. And then they had Peter being the savior. Every good Deadpool has a Peter, and it's like, oh my god. The only thing I was kind of happy how they ended it, but too, I also like that they actually faced up against a good villain. It wasn't just a side villain. They went up against Cassandra Nova, and it was pretty.
I was going to ask you too because it's funny. I thought of you when I watched this movie. Is Cassandra Nova in the comics?
Yes, she is Charles Xavier's twin.
Really? Just a female version.
Yeah, they attack each other in the womb. It's that bad. Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, was a good step in the right direction. I feel like it was a good movie. It really was. It was a movie that I didn't think I was going to go in. I knew I was going to like it, but I didn't know if I was going to really like say, oh yeah, that was like one of the best movies. But it put Marvel back on track.
Yeah.
With this. And two, this is kind of the first time we start getting more of the Fox characters into this. Like Blade. Yeah, what do you think about that too? Blade or Wesley Snipes now holds the record for the longest. I hated this.
What? You didn't like Wesley Snipes being in it?
No, not that. My thing is simple. They're saying now he owns the record for the longest time as a hero on screen. Because remember, he was introduced before Wolverine. So now, since 1998 to now, he is the longest same actor that played the same character. I think that was a lot of bullcrap because look, compare Robert Downey Jr. and Hugh Jackman to how many roles they played. The same character. And Blade, shows up 4 times?
Yeah.
3 of them in his own movie?
I thought honestly, that was one of my favorite cameos. When I saw Blade, dude, I popped so hard. I was like, no fucking way.
Oh, when they did that and Jennifer Gardner comes up with like, oh, where's Daredevil? And they go, oh, man, there's no harsh feelings about that. I was like, yes, that is amazing because that also references her relationship with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
But the Punisher, that was the other thing. They mentioned the Punisher. What Punisher do you think it was? Because there's 3. Well, there's really technically 4 if you want to call Dolph Lundgren one. Thomas.
I'm
Ray,
hoping they're referring to the Thomas Jane one.
yeah. That's what I told Ty. I think they are, because if you pay attention, one of the goons that worked for Cassandra Nova wore the same shirt that the Russian that Kevin Nash played wore the same shirt.
Really? Okay,
And it's the only movie we've ever seen the Russian in any adaptation.
got it.
So I told him I actually do think it was, because
You think Thomas Jane would come back to play the Punisher?
he's older. I don't see him coming back. I think they offered it to him because,
Yeah.
well, you got to remember the other one just passed away recently. Ray Stevenson. Ray Stevenson was a Punisher.
Yeah.
It's not a very good movie, but it's there. But we also got to remember Ray Stevenson was also in the MCU already. He was one of the Thor's friends. The heavier one, the one that Hela kills first in Ragnarok.
Gotcha.
That's it. That's Ray Stevenson.
Okay.
But and then it's John Bernthal now. And I didn't think it was going to be John Bernthal, because John Bernthal, with Charlie Cox being confirmed for the MCU, and so the same thing with Vincent D'Onofrio, and now there's rumors about Kristen Ritter coming back.
Uh-huh.
I don't see a world where you don't offer John Bernthal to come back. John Bernthal loves that character, and he did a lot for the character.
He did. I think he gave it a different presence, right?
Well, he took it to the Knights version, which I like. I always like the Knights version of Punisher. Marvel Knights version is, and Max is another big one, are very gruesome comics. But that's what the Punisher was. He should have been more gruesome. And those comics actually take him to more of a realistic turn. So I like it more. But yeah, so I like the other references they make. I think they make reference to another character, or they reference Doctor Strange going into there, Doctor Strange going there. I thought that was kind of neat. And I was like,
It
okay.
was, especially when they did the circle thingies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was kind of happy about that. But now let's segue. Okay. I think Deadpool, like we said, Deadpool and Wolverine put more MCU back on the right track. What's your take? Do you feel the same way? Like they did?
I think so. I think, this movie is, the biggest MCU movie that's came out since 2019. I think it's been the most intriguing movie.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the most well marketed movie, in my opinion. I think because they made a Black Panther 2, correct?
Yes, the Wakanda Forever.
So I think Wakanda Forever would have put them on the right track.
And it was a good movie.
Yeah, I just think with Chadwick Boseman being gone, I think if he was still alive and was in that role, I think that movie probably would have done a lot better and would have held a little bit better molding to the MCU. But yeah, no, I think Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, this movie is I love the Deadpool movies. I like the first one better than the second one.
We've talked about that too.
That's just my opinion. I like Cable, but the first one's just it's perfect. It's a perfect movie to introduce that character.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, I do think that Deadpool has kind of got them back on their high horse, and I'm hoping that it stays that way because I love the Marvel movies. I know you're obviously a lifelong comic book fan and you love the fandom behind it and all that kind of stuff. And I think for me, I just think personally after Endgame, they kind of, especially when you kill off a character like Iron Man,
right?
That's just
what's
just coming back from that.
Yeah, let's go into that because that is one of the big news that we got.
Yep.
RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., was announced as Dr. Doom. And right now, Avengers, it went from the Kang Dynasty to Avengers Doomsday. And slated for May 2026.
Crazy.
I feel like this should have been delayed at least a year. 2027, it gives you time. Because I'm not going to sit here and lie. The other three big movies are all slated for next year in matter of months. Okay. Captain America Brave New World right now slated for February 14th, 2025.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four First Step slated for July 25th, 2025.
I'm excited about that Fantastic Four movie, by the way.
And we'll get back to that here, but I'm just going over the timelines quick. Thunderbolt, May 2nd, 2025.
Thunderbolt. Now, what does Thunderbolt allude to?
Think of I'm trying to find the right way to say it. Think of Suicide Squad.
Okay.
But they're not mainly villains. They're heroes or even villains or anti-heroes that are trying to get a second chance in life.
Kind of like Deadpool, but not Deadpool.
But you got to think, okay, who's on the team? Winter Soldier, one of the big ones. And you start getting allusions to that with Black Widow, because of Yolanda, played by Florence Pugh, being recruited originally to go take down Hawkeye, which we see in the Hawkeye show. But she realizes what happened, so she's trying to revitalize her career too. John Walker from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, played by Wyatt Russell. And then you have Winter Soldier, you have Red Guardian from Black Widow. That's gonna be a fun one to see father and daughter on the same team.
Right.
One of them's gonna die. I hate to say that. One of them has to at this point. I think it's gonna be Red Guardian. I think Florence Pugh is too highly regarded in that series to get rid of her. And Taskmaster also from Black Widow. So, and then Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's why I'm more excited for. And they're like, oh yeah, now they put the asterisk in the name too. And I'm like, I was like, as a comic book fan, I know what that is. And like, oh, well, you have to wait to watch the movie. It's like, it's Hyperion. We're not dumbasses. We know exactly what that is. When we see that, the way it's made, that's Hyperion's logo.
Yeah.
And Hyperion, think of pretty much Superman in some ways. He's just super strong. I don't know all his powers. I'm not a big fan of Hyperion. But let's go back to RDJ. This was not something I was even expecting.
I don't think a lot of people were.
No.
Right.
And the sad thing is, this is off his Oscar win. But we've also heard rumors that he would not come back unless it was the Russo brothers. And the Russo brothers are now slated to do Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, if anybody does not know Russo brothers' track record with the MCU, they are the ones that have made some of the best films in the MCU. Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Civil War. All these movies are pretty much them.
They didn't do Endgame?
They did do Endgame.
Okay.
They filmed Infinity War Endgame at the same time.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, they are known for some of the more popular MCU films. I put Russo brothers and I put James Gunn up there as the main people. Now it's sad because James Gunn's now with DC. That's what pissed me off too. We only got two things from DC. The logo switch now, going back to the old 80s logo, and then we got our first look at Creature Commandos.
I think when it comes to movies though, like
DC doesn't have a good track.
Marvel has just been on a whole different level as of recent compared to DC film universe. It just has. And that's nothing against DC. I mean, I love DC as well. I mean, I'm a big Batman fan. I love the Batman movies. But I just think that Marvel has taken a better approach to it, in my opinion.
But you bring up Batman, and that kind of segues back to RDJ, okay? RDJ just won an Oscar and a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
One for best
a huge blockbuster of a Nolan film too. I mean, this was probably one of Nolan's most successful films, if not his successful.
I'd put it in a top 5 discussion of his. I would. Oppenheimer, even though it's a 3-hour film, it is a great film. Very well shot. Pretty historically accurate. I'm not saying everything is, but most of it is. And it's just a really good film. So the RDJ to come back, it was kind of shocking. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I got the news the night when Ty and I went and watched Deadpool Wolverine. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of shocked too. I'm like, yeah, because he was very adamant in not returning. But we also know that's what Chris Evans did too. And Chris Evans came back.
Yeah.
But like, do I ever see Chris Evans coming back to play Cap? No. I only see him as Human Torch at this point. Because he's already said he was happy about that. He was excited to come back as the Human Torch. He was not excited to come back as Cap.
Yeah, I like how he's sort of dressed up as Captain America with the colors
And
and everything.
you think he was too with the whole not swearing situation. And then he just cussed like a mother trucker the whole movie. But
Yeah.
that made me laugh. But what's your opinion on RDJ coming back?
You know, I think it's going to be good because it's going to be him taking a villain approach to a character in the MCU. You know, obviously he was Iron Man, the most beloved, you know, but sassy hero, right? I mean, that's why we love that Tony Stark character. He was perfect for it. The way he presents his dialogue throughout the movies. I mean,
His demeanor alone.
demeanor, his charisma. I mean, the list goes on and on. But no, I'm excited. I always loved the Von Doom character. Um, yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see. I love that mask. When I was a kid, that whole
That mask terrifies you. It
yeah, man, it's definitely one to be reckoned with for sure.
like, but here's my next question for you. And this is one I've kind of been starting to think too a lot. We know with Thanos was set up 6, 7 years before Infinity War and Endgame.
Hmm.
Do you think it's a little too fast for them to introduce a big villain like Doom?
No, I think so. Is Doom as big of a villain as Thanos? I know that's
Oh,
probably a dumb
he's
question.
bigger. Like that dude is a bigger name villain than Thanos. Like if yeah.
Well, let me ask you, is Doom a villain to all superheroes or just one in general? 'Cause you know how like Green Goblin is Spider-Man's villain?
He's become lately in years more of a universal villain. He's not like he's always started off with the Fantastic Four. You know, that's always his main rivalry is with Reed Richards, you know. But over time, he's become more of a universal threat where
Hmm.
more that everybody's got to get involved to take him down because he is very powerful. He has magic on his side. He has a bit of things on his side. And that's why I said it's like for me to see it, like I'm gonna say it right now. If they don't introduce him in Fantastic Four, because we already know the villain. Supposedly they're already talking about Galactus. And I'm like, please don't make it a cloud again. Don't give me that crap with the whole cloud situation. And to me, when I hear that, it makes me think of two things. Silver Surfer is going to be introduced. Because you can't have Galactus without Silver Surfer.
Hmm.
And to me, RDJ better be introduced. You're gonna have to. I know that might be not what every fan wants, but frankly to me, you gotta set him up. You can't just put him in Doomsday and then, oh, here he is. I just wish if they were going to do this, they would
Yeah.
have. And for how many movies weren't even slated this year, like they were supposed to?
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to just say RDJ. I'm not saying RDJ can't pull it off. I think it'd be great for him to go into a villain role than a hero.
Yeah.
But I also believe in the whole thing of he might not just be Doctor Doom. I actually think he might be like the infamous Iron Man, which is Victor Von Doom in an Iron Man suit and trying to be good in the world. I could see that as well. Or I could see him being the one that unites all the worlds to make battle, or pretty much battle world, or the world where all the universes are coming together. Because we already know every pretty much show and stuff does tend to be like a different universe at points. So like what was it? The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is different. Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider. No, I'm just messing. I got that song stuck in my head. Anyway, his universe is a whole different universe, right? His movies are a different universe. Andrew Garfield's a whole different universe.
Yep.
You know, Logan and Deadpool were all, different universes. Blade's in a different universe. Everybody's different. That's
Good
what
old Blade.
Yeah.
That's I still can't get over that appearance, man. Like the fact that they were able to pull that off.
Well, he was shocked. You ever hear the interview with him? I'll have to send it to you. But they did an interview with him, and he was shocked that because Ryan Reynolds was the one that reached out to him,
Yeah.
which was weird too, because Ryan Reynolds was in the worst Blade movie of all, Blade Trinity.
They should have put Triple H in it
No, I'm glad they didn't.
with his little Pomeranian.
But that's why I said that's interesting to see. I'm kind of curious where they're going to go. I just wish they would wait a little bit, or they got to start setting them up. Brave New World, Captain America. Right now slated for February 14th, 2025. Anthony Mackie returns. Harrison Ford's coming in to replace William Hurt.
It's gonna be interesting.
Oh, well, we've known that for a while, but now we got the first look with Red Hulk.
Yeah.
And, okay. All right. But the thing is, we have not seen a certain villain yet. And that is supposed to be the leader. That is by Tim Blake Nelson. If anybody does not know what the leader is, he is pretty much someone created in The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton.
He was created in that Hulk movie.
Oh, you remember Tim Blake Nelson in that film?
Oh yeah.
Remember when the chemical falls on his head?
Yes.
That creates the leader.
Got it.
Because remember how his head was transforming and stuff, and he never did anything with it? That's going to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's I love Tim Blake Nelson. He's great.
Now we do know another villain that's somewhat going to be part of it. Giancarlo Esposito. Which anybody? Yeah, he finally announced who he's playing. He's playing a character by the name of Sidewinder. Now I'm not familiar with Sidewinder in the comics, but he is the leader of the Serpent Society, which sounds like it's going to be another Hydra situation.
Got it.
Mackey's compared to Silver Winter Soldier, but I think my thing is right now is that I haven't been trying to get my hopes up about it. Because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to me, when the show was announced, I was hyped for it because I thought, yeah, we get more. And I'm kind of left disappointed. And it wasn't because of Mackey's performance or Sebastian Stan's, performance either.
Mm-hmm.
The story alone it didn't catch my eye. And it's sad. George St. Pierre reprised his role as Baron the Leaper.
George St. Pierre.
And he tried more. You can just tell he was just not a good actor in that film. That he was terrible in that film.
We're never having him back ever.
Oh, he'll probably make an appearance. He's not. I don't think he's been captured, so he can still come back. And I think he'd be good at it for what he does. I think Pierre's good for it, but the acting is just not the greatest. But yeah. So what's your take on Brave New World?
I saw the trailer. I was intrigued. It's just for me with Captain America, I think after Steve Rogers leaving, it's hard for me to get fully invested back in Captain America because I think Chris Evans as Steve Rogers was too good, and then I get why he was done with that character. I get it. I mean, he did a lot with that character. I would say out of a lot of the superheroes that have been done over the years, I think his was the most well done and the most versatile as far as creating a character.
Well, it's just like we talked before too. When you really look at the MCU, he is probably the one that has the best movies.
Yeah.
It's from even the first Avenger, even though it's kind of campy, it's still good. I think Spider-Man you can put up there too. The Spider-Man MCU films have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man's is somewhat decent. Thor's hit and miss. Guardians is great. But this is just a movie that when Esposito came out, I was like, okay, I kind of see where you're going with this, but how is that really relevant? Or for somebody as big name of an actor as he is now,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But I'd rather seen him play Doom at points. I think he'd pull off a good Doom.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's the one out of like First Steps is what I'm most excited for, but this is the one I'm telling you. Let's transition to Fantastic Four. This is the other film I go, this is also going to say a lot about the MCU. Now, why I say that is because Fantastic Four in Marvel Comics is a staple. Without Fantastic Four, we would not have the characters we know and love today. We wouldn't have Spider-Man. We wouldn't have X-Men. We wouldn't have any of these.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Four is what set Marvel on the map and what set Stan Lee on the map. Because if he didn't create that, and if it wasn't for his wife pushing him to do it, we wouldn't have these characters.
Yep.
Captain America was already established character. But at the time, it was great. And then it just kind of went sidelined. And you got to remember, a lot of big name characters made their first introductions in Fantastic Four comics, including Black Panther.
That's true.
The 1960s, this is set in the 1960s, is what we've been told. It's hitting theaters July 25th, 2025. It's got a decent cast underneath it. You got Pedro Pascal.
You got less than a year till that comes out.
Yeah. It's like, am I excited for it? Yeah, because I do like the Fantastic Four, but I have also not been a big fan of the Fantastic Four in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Not the greatest. Like, I like the 2005 version. Come at me if you don't like it. I don't care. But I like how they introduced it with the whole, we got the hovercraft coming in above the fans. It's like, okay, this is a little cheesy, but whatever. Like Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things is going to play the Human Torch. Ralph Ineson is going to play Galactus. And Vanessa Kirby is playing Susan Storm. And then Ebon Moss Bachrach is playing the Thing.
I like I don't know if you've watched The Bear on Hulu, but
I've seen it. It's good.
Ebon Moss is on. He's got a pretty big role in that show, and he's really good in that show.
You think he could pull the Thing off?
It's just two different characters. I mean, he plays. I think he could if he approaches it correctly. I enjoyed. I forget the actor's name. Huh?
Michael Tickles or Chiklis?
Yeah, is he from The Shield?
Yes.
Yeah. I loved him as when I was a kid.
Fantastic Ben Grimm. I was shocked. To me, that's a character I would have brought back because he's even voiced his opinion about coming back to play him.
I'm surprised they didn't like try to offer him.
Well, I think
they're probably trying to take a whole different approach at. I mean, especially if it's starting in the 60s, which by the way, I love that logo.
Yeah.
That 60s font logo. It's
I love
nice.
the poster they made for it. I thought the poster was fantastic, how they said it.
No pun intended.
Yeah. This is a movie that's going to stand out to me.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be good, then the MCU is going to go in the right direction. If it doesn't, then I'm not going to care for it. And I'm not going to care for the rest of the MCU projects. Thunderbolts is one of those ones, too, going to that quick. The only things that were really released was set date, or when it's coming out, which is on May 2nd next year. And the asterisk at the end now is now important. And it's like, okay, you're setting up Hyperion. And we've heard rumors about that for a while now. The Hyperion will play a role in this. But it's sad because it's not sad, but like Fantastic Four, RDJ was probably two of the biggest reveals. Because Fantastic Four, we've been told things. We haven't been told everything.
Yeah.
And they are just starting filming. I believe it was like a week after their event, after their showing at San Diego.
Mhm.
They were just going to start filming. So that makes me also nervous because that only gives them a year. Sad thing is, too, is we have not been told when Blade's coming out either yet. It's just been postponed, postponed, and postponed.
And mind you, you had mentioned too when we had talked about it off air, but you're saying it's going to be Marsala Ali, right?
Mahershala Ali, yes, he is
Yeah.
playing him, which is not his first Marvel character. He's Uncle Aaron from the Into the Spider-Verse movies and Spider-Verse.
Okay.
So it's not his first rodeo. But
My first rodeo.
I enjoy, yeah. Okay, Matthew McConaughey, Cowboy Deadpool.
All right, all right, all right. Here's
But-
go.
Or the,
Uh, uh,
I
uh, uh,
can't stand him in that.
um,
But what are you most excited for?
well, like I said, man, it's gonna be interesting to see how RDJ presents himself as Victor Von Doom. But I also am really because I personally, I know you weren't a huge fan of it as a kid, but I liked I liked the Fantastic Four movies one with Jessica Alba and
And I love the first one in that series. First one's
yes.
decent. I liked it. The second one is where it ruined it.
Is that the Rise of the Silver Surfer?
Yes, and I love the Silver Surfer in that film. I just hate what they do with Galactus.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos. When he goes
I'm
up to the
interested
wedding
in
reception.
how that what's that?
When he goes up to the wedding reception and he goes, "Oh, your name? I'm Stan Lee." And he goes, "You're not on the list." What are you talking about? I'm good friends with you.
Man, that's one thing circling hold on, going back to the new Deadpool movie. It's like, man, I really wish Stan Lee was alive to see that film, and be a part of it, with his little cameos because I just think that they would have taken advantage of it. Like I loved the first what is the first Deadpool when they have his cameo in there and he's the strip club announcer and he's like coming up to the stage, Chastity. Like, it's just so fucking funny. And to have
My
go ahead.
favorite was when they did the reveal for Deadpool when he goes into the whole like he does the whole Superman goes into the phone booth and he goes, "Knight's suit, sip it, Stanley," and then all of a sudden you just see him run off. And then they actually say that was Uncle Ben being shot in the alley.
Oh my God.
That made me laugh. But like we said, that Stan Lee did not create Deadpool. That's Rob
Yeah.
Liefeld who created it. But which he was at the premiere too, which I know he was excited for the movie. But
Stan Lee didn't create Deadpool, but you said that the guy that did create him, was he a part of Marvel Comics at that point? Or did he sell over the rights to Marvel?
so you've heard the story of Image Comics, right?
Yes.
Okay, he was one of them. He's one of them that went by to Marvel and went to Image.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, he had help. He created like the Savage Dragon and created a couple things. Jim Lee was another big one that went to him, and Todd McFarlane. Those were your three big ones that went from Marvel and said, "Screw you, we're going to make our own company." And that's when we get movies like Spawn, and we get things like the Wildcats or Invincible now, Walking Dead. It's all because of them. But he still does stuff like I believe he still puts like Deadpool as one of his major creations. So, Deadpool is a big thing for him. He was at the premiere and everything. I remember that being
Oh,
said.
really?
Was at the premiere. I believe Deadpool or Ryan Reynolds and him are actually friends because he actually likes what Ryan Reynolds has done. But that's why I said, like, out of all this, I'm curious to see where they're going to go with RDJ. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Fantastic. Captain America, will I go see it? Yeah. But isn't one of them I'm like excited for? We'll
Well,
see.
and like I said, you think that has to do with, what I mentioned earlier with,
It
I
gets
love Anthony Mack. He's great, but
Mackey's great in this. He never bothered me. It's just a story.
really, the
The
story.
story they go with not so much that, but like I like the whole story with him and Isaiah Bradley. That's one of my favorite ones in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Uh-huh.
I just don't like sometimes like I didn't like the whole John Walker situation. I didn't like the whole US Patriot. I didn't like that. Or
Got it.
I didn't like that scene at all. I didn't like Wyatt Russell in this film, in that show. I thought he was stupid in this. You know, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think what set it apart was I didn't like that he gave up the title after Steve gave it to him. Because remember, he gives it up. He doesn't. He doesn't want it. Which that's what makes Winter Soldier pissed because it's like, well, why did you give up a mantle that he passed down to you? Now anybody's going to do it. Anybody can pick up that shield and be the next Captain America. He chose you. That's what upset me. When that first happens in the first episode, I was like, what? That's stupid.
That's stupid.
That made me so mad. It was unreal. Because this is why I said, this is why I feel sometimes Winter Soldier should have been offered it first. And then Winter
Yeah.
grabbed it to the Falcon or granted it to the Falcon. Because that's how it happens in the comics too, is that Winter Soldier is given it first. Then I believe Steve Rogers gets it again, and then it's Sam Wilson. And Sam Wilson sat for quite a while. It's not just for a little bit of time. He's capped for a while. Like Winter Soldier's cap didn't last very long. It wasn't very popular. But I don't know. I think Captain America, it's like I'm still gonna go watch it.
Yeah.
But is it one I'm looking excited for?
Probably.
I want to see more. I want to see more like another trailer.
I'm excited to see, I think, out of everything, the new Fantastic Four, because I liked the movies when I was growing up. I'm a little skeptical about Pedro Pascal being in it, not because of him. It's just he's in everything right now, and I think that kind of,
You think they're feeding off his popularity?
yeah, it just feels oversat. Like like I said, I love him. He's great. It's just he's
I
in
was
way too
kind of
many
happy.
things right now, and then like, oh, let's have you be Reed Richards. It's like,
Well,
what?
I think that's what's hard because originally, this is not the first time we've seen Reed Richards in the MCU.
Yeah,
He was played by John Krasinski in Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. I was kind of upset they didn't give it to him.
the
I,
Krasinski.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he could have done well with it. I mean, he's a fantastic actor.
he's a great director
And
too.
director, yeah. I was just gonna, take the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, he's a great director. You imagine him directing this film? I think he'd do really good.
Yeah,
And then have his real life wife next to him, Emily Blunt.
Emily Joint. Oh, I mean Blunt.
I like Emily Blunt. Don't cut her name in vain. I like her. She's a good
Say
actor.
your name in vain. No, I
I
mean,
like
yeah.
Joseph Quinn. I'm curious to see as
Uh-huh.
George because everybody loves him in Stranger Things and his immaturity and his heroics speak Johnny. So that was like the only cast, and I was like, okay, I'm behind you here. I'm curious, see where that's gonna go. But now the real question is, and we'll end this podcast out: is this going to be enough to save the MCU?
It'll be a start,
I think so.
a good solid start.
Like DC or
I mean, we're already on a good solid start with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
I think we're already on the right path to where it needs to be. So
Yeah.
I have hope. I have hope. I think millions of fans across the world have hope, especially after seeing Dead. I mean, I haven't met one person that really dislikes the new Deadpool movie unless you're just not a Deadpool fan or a fan of the movies prior.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I think this new Deadpool movie really just set the tone of what we can make the MCU again. So I mean, yeah, I loved it. I want to see it again. I'm already chomping at the bit to go see it.
Yeah. I told my buddy, I was like, I want to go see it again. I go see it again in a heartbeat.
And just look for, little Easter eggs and stuff like that.
My favorite scene still will be the whole credit scene. Like, people think I killed Johnny. Well, put it this way, bub, and then you have the whole the whole scene where there was a camera on that thing where he talked about. That made me laugh. I don't know why, but it got me good. And
Yeah.
but yeah, but fans, let us know if you think the news that we got from San Diego Comic-Con this year and Deadpool and Wolverine is enough to save the MCU. Do you like Deadpool and Wolverine? What was your favorite cameo? Like I said, let us know what you think about RDJ being announced as Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that's big news right now. Big
One of
news.
the biggest news, yeah. But yeah, fans, let us know in the comments. Check us out at J4F Podcast at Instagram and TikTok. Check us out on Spotify. Without further ado, turn it over to Pat to take us out.
Thank you, ladies and gents, for joining us on this. This is a nice little discussion. I like doing these. This is fun. We're going to do more of them down the road. Let us know if you guys want us to do more of them down the road as well. But I think, there's one thing that we should, take note by, and that's remembering that we do it just for flicks.